Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you all the different ways that you can double up on your card projects, being able to produce more cards out of a single idea. We're going to use the tailored stitches and pretty stitches from Poppy Stamps to create a stacked border design on the cards. Each set comes with 3 different border dies, and I'm going to line them up here in a pattern that we'll be using over and over again to create this project. Now what I'm doing here is trying to get it all lined up nice and straight so that each die is spaced accordingly and parallel to each other. Now it's totally up to you how you want these arranged. You can put the rounded borders next to the pointy borders. Whatever order you want to do is totally fine, and your spacing is up to you as well. I've chosen to space it so that it's going to take up a little more than half of the card, so I've spread it out about that far. Now I want to hold these all in place and be able to die cut this over and over again, so I'm using some little strips of painter's tape to hold each end in place. I'm going to carefully put it down on one end, and then I'll put a second strip on the other end, and that way it'll cut as a single piece when I use it for the die cutting process. It's going to be helpful if you trim off the ends. I did try to do this with these ends still on there, and that painter's tape ends up sticking to everything. So here's a little tip. Once you get them in the right spot, just trim off the ends nice and close to the die, and it'll save you a lot of trouble later on. Once you have your dies secure, you just need to choose some cardstock in different colors to cut out for the patterns. I've chosen a rainbow assortment. I'm using lime green, yellow, orange, red, purple, and then a medium blue. Again, you can choose whatever you want. You could go pastel, you could do autumn shades, you do something in Christmas. The idea here is the same. We're cutting all of these at once, and that gives you 6 separate little strips. And I'm trimming off the ends on each side. It doesn't need to be perfect here, because what we're going to do is use that strip on the card, and once things are secure, then we'll trim the card down so that the edges are nice and lined up. So don't worry too much if some of the edges aren't quite as straight as other edges. We'll fix that later. I'll finish this off just by making sure these are all separated, and I want to put them in the order that they were cut. That will help me later if things are organized. You'll see as we start to assemble the card that if things are organized, it's a little bit easier to assemble. So I've cut all the different colors at this point, the whole rainbow assortment, and I'm just going to lay them out in front on my workspace so that they're easy to choose from once I start assembling. I titled this project 2 for 1, but I really should have titled it 6 for 1, because what we've done is taken 6 dies and we've cut it into 6 colors. When we use one of each of those strips to make the rainbow, there's going to be a total of 6 cards that we can make. It really saves a lot of time when you set up your projects like this. I have the dies set up, taped together, and I've cut it out of 6 different colors. Now I'm going to mix and match all the different stripes on there, and it's going to end up making 6 cards. It's a huge time saver, and you can really make a lot of cards that way. Now as I was assembling this, I wanted to try adhesive in a couple different ways. You saw at the beginning I used some double stick tape with my tape gun, and that worked okay. And then I used some white glue, and I used that to hold things down. At first I put it on the note card, and then I think I decided that the best way to do it would be to add glue directly to the strip of paper and glue it down. We don't want any adhesive to show through those open holes, and this seemed to be the most efficient way to put things together. I'm just going in rainbow order from the bottom to the top, and once I'm done, I'm going to be able to assemble all the different cards from all of the different rainbow strips that we prepared ahead of time. So here I am, second card. You'll see that as you do this, you're going to have a different order each time. We've already used that bottom strip in a different color, so we have to move on to a new color. So actually, even though each card will have the same design, it'll be a slightly different rainbow, but it's a super good way for you to use up all those different strips and create those 6 different greeting cards. Once you're done, you'll see that those strips on the ends are uneven, so you'll just need to use your paper cutter to trim them down, make them nice and straight. Now Now we're going to prepare the sentiment that's going to go on top of the rainbows. This is the little halo hello. It comes with two different dies on the inside. One is the inner piece that says hello, and then there's an outer piece that's the halo that goes around that writing. I've cut out the hello in a dark blue cardstock, and then the outer piece is cut in a sparkly cardstock. I tried a couple different backgrounds for that outer piece, and it seemed like the sparkly look seemed to work best with that rainbow background. There's a lot of colors going on that rainbow, so it was hard to find just one specific color that would work, and this sparkly metallic white cardstock worked really well for it. Once I had those two pieces glued together, I decided I wanted to pop it up just a little bit with some foam mount tape. So I just cut a few small pieces and stuck them on the back, and then I'm going to glue that onto the rainbow card. Now at first I thought maybe it was going to come up high on the card, but as I messed around with it a little bit, I realized it would be better if it was down low, kind of in the middle of all those rainbow colors. And that's really all you have to do. You've got 6 cards, minimal cutting, and it's really a great standout, visually dynamic card. I love that glittery look so much that I went and found my Wink of Stella pen, and I just took a piece of white cardstock that I cut out of that hello halo, the outer piece, and I colored the whole thing with that Wink of Stella brush just to make it all sparkly. It wasn't quite as glittery as that glitter cardstock, but it still had this really great sheen that could be used as a substitute if you didn't have the glitter cardstock. Okay, our next project uses the Big Luxe Hello along with the Big Halo Hello. These 3 pieces all work together. There's an inner piece and an outer piece, and then a separate thicker cursive hello, and they all sort of work together for this project. I'm going to be cutting these out of different cardstocks. The halo is going to be cut out of just plain old white cardstock. The inner hello, which will be the cursive thicker one, is going to be cut out of a light pink. And you'll see that that fits inside that halo. Now I'm sticking to the theme of the video here where we're doubling up on cards. In this case, we're doubling up on the design of the card. We're basically using the same supplies, but it's going to end up being a couple different cards with different color schemes that would work for different occasions. I'm going to be using the rickrack stitches to create a border at the bottom. This will add just a little bit of pop of color. And then also the Poppy Stamps Clear Stamp Set Hello Sentiments. And I'm going to put just one of those little phrases at the bottom of the card there. I'm going to use my Misty stamping tool to make sure things are nice and lined up. Once I have everything in place, I'll make sure that that stamp gets stuck to the lid. I'll open it up. I'm going to show you first part of the video, just me inking it up, just for those of you who aren't familiar with how the Misty tool works. Just add a little bit of ink on there, then you're going to swing it back down. It's going to land right where you originally had it. And if it didn't stamp so well, then all you have to do is put a little bit more ink on that stamped image, and you'll swing that lid down again and it'll come out just perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put that bottom rickrack stitch border onto the card. So I've got the outer halo cut into the white cardstock, making a window. I've got the stamped sentiment underneath, and then the rickrack border at the bottom. Now I want to pop this up a little bit off of my card, so I'm going to cut off a bunch of pieces of foam mounting tape. You'll want to position them like I do, close to that opening and then around the edges of the cards, so that that top piece is evenly distributed around the cardstock. We'll go ahead and mount that onto a pink piece of cardstock. You want to make sure that the edges are lined up on all 4 sides so that it's evenly spaced around the edge. And after that, all we have to do is mount that onto a plain white note card. I use my trusty white crafter's glue for this, just a few dots here and there, basically spacing them out about an inch or so apart. You can use whatever adhesive works best for you. Lay that on there so you can't see any of the white note card. And then finally, you're going to mount that hello right in the middle of the halo window. This is like that game that you played when you were a kid called Operation, where you try to get it down into the hole there without touching the sides. Just take your time, hold your breath. I like to start at one end and slowly space things out. Make sure that the glue adheres as you push things into place, and you'll be done. Now we had a bonus piece left over from some of that die cutting, so I went ahead and decided to make another simple card out of the leftovers. I am sponging Distress ink in squeezed lemonade, just with a basic sponge, onto a white note card. I'm going to follow that up with a little bit of Distress Oxide in broken china. I'm going to slightly overlap those two colors. That will create a third color, sort of a green in between, and just put here and there some of that color. No real rhyme or reason to how I'm doing it. And I'm going to spritz it with some water to give it a little bit of a splatter. I'll use that same Hello Sentiment set again. This time I'm going to use Just a Note to Say, and that's going to work with the Hello die cut from the halo that we did before. So that was the piece that came out of the middle, and I'm going to use that for a second card. So I'm doubling up here to make a second card using supplies that I already have in place. The next step is to glue down that white piece. I'll just use a little bit of glue to put that onto the white note card. It will cover up some of that colored background, but that's okay. It'll just make that hello stand out a little bit more because it's bright. You'll notice I'm going to put it at a slight angle rather than making it straight. That's just another way to make it a little bit more visually interesting. And finally, there's that hello that's the centerpiece that's going to work in the middle there. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. It's a very tiny, thin die cut, so you just want to put a little bit on at a time, just a few drops here and there. Fortunately, this crafter's glue dries perfectly clear, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Plus, it's on white cardstock, so it won't really show at all. Now I want to point out that inked background. I didn't take a lot of time making sure that it was well blended when I did it, because I knew that I was going to be adding some more layers on top of it, and most of it would be covered anyways. And you can see it turned out just fine, even though I didn't take a lot of time to get things all blended. I'll duplicate that same design using the Big Luxe Love and the Big Halo Love from Poppy Stamps. These are similar to the Hello products that I used in the other card. There's smaller ones that fit inside that larger Halo outer one, and everything sort of works with each other. And I'll pair that up with the Sentiments of Love clear stamp set, just adding Being Friends with You and making a complete card. For the last project, I'm going to be using the Little Halo Hello. This is just a small version of that larger die set that we were using earlier. It has an outer piece and an inner piece. I'll begin by stacking a dark pink cardstock on top of a lighter pink cardstock. I want to get the edges all nice and lined up. I'm going to run that through my die cut machine with the outer halo. Once I pull that back out, the top piece is cut all the way through, and the bottom piece is not. You can see that you can pop that top piece out pretty easy, and it just leaves an indent on the bottom piece. I'm going to line that back up with the outer halo die and run it through again so that it is cut out. And the idea here is that it'll be cut out in the same spot on both pieces of paper so that when it's lined up you can see all the way through without seeing the edges. I'll put some adhesive on the back of the dark piece of cardstock. This is going to be the window for my shaker card, and I want to put some tape all the way around that open window and also along the edges of the dark piece of cardstock so that everything's ready to go when I sandwich things together. You can use double stick tape, you can use glue, whatever adhesive works for you. I'm taking my piece of plastic here and I'm going to line it up so that it completely covers the open window there, along with allowing some extra adhesive around the side to show. And then I'm going to stand right over it, make sure everything's lined up as I put that dark piece of cardstock on top of the light piece of cardstock. I'm going to use the Sentiments of Hello clear stamp set and emboss Birthday Girl underneath the open window there. I'm going to cut some thin strips of foam mounting tape and apply them around the window in order to keep all the shaker materials in place. The strips need to be fairly close to the open window. You don't want to get too far away because then all the confetti or whatever you put in there will fall down and you won't be able to see it. So keep it within a 1/4 inch or so of that window. I'm sprinkling in just some sparkly confetti. You can use confetti, you can use sequins, whatever you want to put inside there. And I'm going to back it with some yellow cardstock. Make sure that's all secure and then flip it over and you can see it'll sprinkle back and forth. Now mount everything up and all you have left to do is put that hello in the open window space. I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to use some glue just to hold it onto the plastic there. Again, you want to make sure that there isn't too much glue because that will show on the plastic. So just tiny little dots of it. Make sure that it is secure and you're all done. Finally, one last bonus card. Remember all those pieces that you trimmed out of the shaker card materials? Those are leftovers here, and I thought I'd put them to good use, doubling up on a design and making a brand new card. I'm sponging the front of an A2 size note card with Distress Oxide Ink in fossilized amber. I want this nice gold color to pretty much fill the entire space of the card. So I'm starting at the edges and I want to build up the color close to the edge, and then it's going to fade out a little bit towards the interior of the card. Now I want to put that design towards the bottom of the card, so I'm sort of angling the ink towards the bottom lower right corner so that there's a glow around that space. It'll be darker towards the edges and then a little bit lighter right where I'm going to put my design element. I'm going to use my Misty stamping tool for the stamping here. I'm just going to hold things in place, ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp my little sentiment from the Hello Sentiment clear stamp set. All that's left is for you to glue things together and you're done. Thanks for stopping by today, and I encourage you to double up on your own designs.